Hey, what's up, YouTubers? Just want to make a little video on how you can make money no matter where you live in the world. And this is a video for people who may be immigrating to another country or want to earn income from another country or even earn income online at home. A lot of these ideas can be transferred to anywhere in the world in a first country or in a third world or second world country, depending on how you want to define that. But most of these ideas are interchangeable, and if you think outside the box, you read between the lines, you realize no matter where you find yourself in the world, a lot of these things you can do right online. It doesn't really matter where you live, you just need an internet connection. And some of these things I'm talking about in part 3 and 4, or 2, 3, and 4, you may have to jump from the developing world into like a first world country. So like if you're in Central America, just jump up to Canada or these states. Or if you live in the Philippines or Indonesia, you just pop over to Australia, New Zealand. So some of these things you might have to physically relocate. Like just as an example, I know people who live in Latin America, but they teach English in Asia, and they fly back and forth. I also know people who teach English online and they live in Latin America. But anyways, these are just some ideas on how to start over from scratch if you want to live in another country or earn an income in another country. And a lot of these ideas are best started before you leave wherever it is you're from. But it can be started anywhere where you're at, but it's better if you start right now. At least in my case, I didn't really start making money from certain online activities until for at least a year after I started them. Anyway, onto the show. First things first, starting over from scratch. This is what I do if I was starting over in a new country. I would review my skills and tools. I would think about my immediate income needs. I would plan a timetable on when I need to achieve my income goals. I would think about methods of payment I can accept online for products and services. That's really important. For most people, that's PayPal, but there are other ways you can get paid too, outside of PayPal and Bitcoin. Anyhow, think about the local offline opportunities for making money in my community. Then I would create a realistic strategy to create a product or service and a way to market it within the limitations I set above. And like I said, a lot of these things can be done online or even offline. Okay, I just want to go back in time. Back in the 2000s, way back in the mid 2000s, the marketplace was different. And if you wanted to make money online, it was pretty easy. All you had to do was get a digital camera, upload a video onto YouTube, and monetize it with AdSense, and it actually gave you a pretty good income. Alternatively, you could upload a book, almost any kind of book, to Amazon and expect to make a reasonable income. Now everyone does that, and there's a lot of crap on Amazon, so you have to make your book stand out if you're going to earn income from selling books. But it's still possible, and many people are doing it. Anyhow, with that in mind, here's what I do today if I was starting over in a new country. If we look at the local economy where I live, if there's a lot of poor people, more than rich people, I would probably move, but that's me. I tend to live in big cities wherever I live, like when I lived in the Philippines. I didn't like living out in the country, and it's the same here in Guatemala. I live in a fairly big sized city, which creates a lot more economic opportunity if you want to earn the money offline in the local markets. Here's why I say that. If you live in an area that is surrounded by a lot of unemployed people or under motivated people, chances are you kind of become like them. So if you move to a place that's relatively wealthy and you know how to make money and spending that money locally, chances are good you will soon find a niche and be making money. That's just as true of the States or Canada as of Mexico or Guatemala. Incidentally, there's a growing middle class in Latin America and Southeast Asia. So with that in mind, if I lived in an area that was depressed economically, I would move. So the first thing I would do is look online for small cities to move to. Look for the top 10 cities that are booming in whatever country you live in. I would look for cities in a low tax area where wealthy people are moving to and where the weather is actually nice. For some people, that's kind of hot and humid. Others like me, I like a little cooler climate, so I live kind of in the mountains. But generally speaking, there's nice cities to live anywhere in the world, that can meet that kind of criteria. And I like low taxes. That's just me. So in Central America and Guatemala, taxes are fairly reasonable. After moving to a local place or finding a nice location, I would look for a sales job. Incidentally, there are sales jobs in Guatemala that pay quite nicely. You probably won't hear about that online, but they actually do exist here, and they pay well many times whatever the local minimum wage rate is here, which I'm not sure of. I think it's like maybe 350 or 300 a month, something like that. But there are sales jobs here that pay multiples of that, and it's just as true of Mexico or Honduras probably too. Then after I did that, I would start looking at what people want to buy. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I would look at what people want to buy, like in the States, depending on where you're at, it'd be like uh, boats, mobile homes, jet skis, cars, things like that, insurance. Down here in Guatemala, the insurance market is a big market right now, so that's an excellent opportunity if you want to happen to come down here. My long-term goal in a situation like that is not really to work for someone else, but just to get a quick income going, so you're not cutting into your savings, so you have a nice cushion in case you have some kind of a economic emergency or medical emergency or something like that. You don't deplete your savings while you're looking for opportunities. So I would get a basic income to meet my needs, for food, shelter, and stuff like that. Here in Guatemala, my basic needs come under 500 bucks a month. So that's pretty low per month. The other reason to get a job is to make contacts. That's really important when you're in new countries, to make contacts and build up a network of people who can help guide you. I can't stress that enough. Having network opportunities is excellent. That's why I suggest you have a lawyer. You get a job, you meet people, you get out and about, and figure out where the opportunities are, and with friends and with a lawyer and working locally, you will find these opportunities much faster. Also, some of these contacts may become your clients later on for when you want to build your online business or service. When I when I wasn't at work, I'd be working on my online business or gig. First, I would start out by setting up the basics, and this is something anyone can do, no matter like what your nationality or where you live. I would set up a YouTube account that was hooked up to AdSense, and I would start shooting monetized video and uploading them to YouTube. Again, anyone can do that anywhere. And despite what you hear about lower revenues from AdSense, it still can pay you. Well, it can pay you it can pay you your expenses, at least where I live. And I know quite a few people who make several thousand a month now. Granted, that ain't a lot like it used to be, but if you live modestly, you can save a few bucks and use that capital. You can use that built up capital for other opportunities. And as far as uploading videos, I'd be careful not to upload anything too controversial that might get my account deleted or ruin my reputation. I had one of my accounts deleted, so I didn't get banned or anything, but one of them was deleted. And that was just a misunderstanding on my part, but be careful what you upload. If I was in sales, I would get permission from my boss to start using YouTube, Craigslist, eBay, Facebook, or any other social media to sell their products. Again, in Latin America, that's a skill set it's in fairly high demand. So I would consider, then in Latin America, Craigslist is here, but they have local versions of Craigslist, and that's where you can sell a lot of stuff that you import from China or the States and make a few bucks doing. Not just in Guatemala, but people are doing that in Chile and making up pretty nicely, at least enough to pay their rent. Here's where I've got to get a job. Here's why I say that. Getting a job might not seem like the best thing to do if you want to work for yourself or become an entrepreneur, but in the beginning, I think it is. But getting the right job is the quickest way to learn the skills you need to become an entrepreneur. Having a job that would allow you to meet your expenses and build up the capital you need to start your own business, it can take the pressure off of having to worry about things like a medical emergency or things like that. You never know what might come down the pike later on. Here's what happened to a friend of mine. He was unemployed and lived in a very depressed area and decided to prove himself by moving to a more upscale location and getting a sales job in Florida. Actually, a lot of Europeans live in Florida. It's a really nice, low tax area, nice weather, cheap real estate, at least as of now in 2016, going into 2017. But anyhow, at his first job, it didn't go too good. He wasn't making enough to earn his draw as a salesman. But he kept at it and he started to learn the ropes, and pretty soon he was making pretty decent income. Soon he started working a lot of hours and at the trade shows. Again, trade shows. That's an excellent place to earn money locally in Latin America or in Asia, like the Philippines. There are lots of trade shows in Central America, believe it or not. It's not hard to set up a booth at those shows and sell whatever it is you're going to sell and make a few bucks. And as probably the only gringo there, you won't have a lot of competition. And you'll have the novelty factor working for you too if you sell at trade shows in Latin America. That gives you kind of a huge advantage. Anyways, after my friend learned the ropes, um, he started making pretty good income. And even though he's kind of burned out and tired from it, when you start making quite a bit of money, that gives you the energy and drive to keep going. Anyhow, soon he's making six figures, and he didn't really want to go out and go on his own. That's the bad thing. You get those golden handcuffs on your hands. You don't want to quit and start your own business. He also became one of the youngest salesmen to have met the biggest sales goals. So it seems like when you're learning new skills, being younger is better. Although in my case, I seem to learn okay, but just a little slower than everyone else. Here's just an example of people. I've met quite a few people down here in Central America that worked in the oil sands, saved up a lot of money, and came down here and started things. But I also know quite a few people, they run out of money to go back to the oil sands. Although right now, the oil sands in Canada and the States is kind of depressed, but if you have those skills and contacts, you can sometimes get back in pretty easy. There's even still quite a few jobs in the Dallas, Texas area. If you have the right contacts anyways, you can make quite a lot of money in 6 months. Anyhow, there's just more of my friend. He made a lot. He saved up a lot of money while he worked in the oil sands. Bought mobile homes and rented them out, and then came on down to Latin America. So those are opportunities you don't really think about, but anyone can do them. Even Europeans come to the States to do these things. You run into quite a few Europeans now coming in, overstaying their visa, not just here, but also in the States. And you can do the same thing in Alaska. Anyways, that's about the end of the first part of this video. I'm going to put in part 2 and get into more specifics. So anyhow, like, share, and leave a comment what you think. Thanks.